military people upset over things.
You introverts with your feelings.
I have no feelings.
You say that. Um, so agreed. Um, so they're going through the day, and just because I don't like the emotional conversation we're about to fall into, because they're going through the day.
I don't want to go into any emotional conversation. I said I have no feelings.
I have no feelings. Moving on. We hashed that one out. Good talk. Uh, and so they're going throughout the day, and it's getting late, and they know they got to get out of there, or they're really going to be overrun.
Yep.
Um, so they make an exit, and it ends up being they didn't make a really good choice with the exit. One guy tries to go through where they thought was a solid balcony, and it ended up just being a tarp. And the guy falls through the roof, the tarp.
I remember that.
Yeah, yeah. And luckily, he lands on his backpack. They don't tell you this until the end, but he don't.
Yeah. This it's not like the movies where you're watching like Aladdin running through the streets and he jumps down onto a tarp and the tarp bounces him onto another tarp. It's not like that at all.
Yeah, no, he had stitches. So, but he survived. And there, nobody knows if he like broke his neck, if he destroyed his spine, if he has a broken leg or a hip or something. Right? He's just down there trying to be quiet because they know if they've already made a noise to make this hole. Right? They're under fire all day and they're trying to get out discreetly. So this guy's just trying not to cry, right? With his arm bleeding and not knowing what he broke.
We laugh, but
Right, right. It's funny. So what can I say? So they
we can laugh because he survived.
right, and now they're trying to figure out how to get out of here alive. They're still facing fire. They still have mission to do, which is kill as many bad guys as possible. They still have to destroy that IED by the front door, and they're in a place where they can't really call for support unless they're taking heavy casualties because basically the tanks and Abrams are going to come through there, destroy the buildings around them, and it'll become a bloodbath for everybody. Right? Probably a lot. There'll be probably like civilian casualties that they don't want. So something they try to avoid. So they have a lot going on, and they're trying to essentially just balance everything that's going on. And it's kind of he's you almost don't understand that this entire story is them in one place all day long for like 20 hours. Like they went there the night and they were fighting from one position that has one exit for like 20 hours. That's my understanding. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, it does. That's kind of my understanding as well. It's just insane to think about some of this stuff that these guys were put under.
Yeah, yeah, it did. Yeah, bad. Just real tough guys.
There's a reason why I think this is the chapter or the time where Leif is talking about one of his chiefs, and his chief has a phrase called "Big Tough Frogman."
Yeah, BFT. You BFT in. You do big mix up. You BTF out. Then you do big chow.
Yep, exactly. In that exact Russian type accent.
Yeah. And I kind of imagine like, yeah, and then you do that, and then you do this. You smash some shit up. You tear it up, and then you big BFT out, and then you eat. You eat a lot, chow.
Yup. So, yeah, no. Anything else?
Uh, that's all I can think of. I just have fun with that. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I love that. I'm just. Yep. Sorry, I am sitting here thinking about this as you're talking about it and trying to think where we want to go because a lot of it is very much they're being presented with a ton of problems, like especially a ton of problems all at once, and Like, how many times does that happen to us in our lives? Like, it happens fairly regularly. Now, we can set aside the fact that, hey, guess what? These guys were fighting for their lives. You know, we'll just set that aside.
That's like a little salt and pepper to the story. So what?
Yeah, just gives it a little extra flavor. We could take that out and.
So they're decisively engaged. They're entertained. Look, when you have that much lead and fireworks in your arsenal, the hours go by fast.
Oh, completely. Especially in the hot summer days when you're go back. All right, so decisively engaged. All right, so this is a little bit of a military term that basically just means that this is a unit that is engaged in battle and cannot get out. Like the only way out is to win. So these guys were really much, very, really much. We're very much in this whole. We're here. We're stuck here. We need we need to get out of this, and we need to. You know, there's nothing we can do. It's not like we can walk out the back door and everything's going to be fine, especially with that IED.
There is no back door, first of all. So one of the things they had to prioritize was to make a back door. And where do you pick that from? There's choices.
Yep. Yep. So that and actually you brought that up. So now they've got how many different things going on? Ton, right? So what they have to do at that point is figure out what is the main thing. Like what is their main priority? And that's often what we have to do in our lives or just in general. Let's say you sit down at work and you're for the start of the day, you've got to know what your main priority is. You have to understand, hey, this is the thing that I need to focus on now and to be good at my job, to meet my boss's expectations, to meet my clients' expectations and such. And the thing is, like for low level work, for so-called low level, oh my gosh. Phil just dropped a gigantic dissertation in our private chat. Holy cow, dude. Anywho, um,
I do that.
yeah, you do, you do. Anyway, if people had access to our private chat,
Yeah. I don't know if that would be ethical.
nope, we're not letting that happen. That's between you and I.
Yeah, that's where Phil can say anything. Space. That's my safe space.
It really is your safe space. Um, I don't remember where I was now. Oh yeah, you got to sit down. It's the main priority. Figure out the main priority. All right, like as a frontline worker, as someone who's low level, so most of the time, your main priority is not going to be determined by you. Your main priority is going to be dictated to you uh, by your boss or your supervisor or whoever. Like somebody's going to be telling you, this is what I want you to be working on. This is what I'm trying to drive at for you. But then there are some times where you are like a freelancer and you're working for yourself and you need to figure that out yourself. We could talk about that as a freelancer, like what your main priority is, but this isn't like, uh, whatever.
Oh, that'll be an exciting series of calls. There's got to be a good book that talks about how to, when you're with a customer, how to rip their soul out to figure out what their problem is, gently massage that soul to figure out what they're actually trying to tell you and avoid all the bullshit, and to then take and give them everything they ever wanted to have without them having to form the ability to tell you what they want in the first place.
Do you want to touch on that a little bit because I've got a good way to talk about that.
Oh, I want you to lead that one because um, that's a rabbit hole that will waste the whole show if I do it because I'm not very eloquent in that one.
So what you're talking about is a phrase that an old CEO of mine used. I don't remember where he came up with it, but when you are a freelancer, or when you are in what is called the client services industry, which is where you have clients that you help and you work, you work on, work for, and this includes a whole host of industries. You need to be, well, a doctor, not a waiter. What that means is, a waiter when you sit down at a restaurant, think about what a waiter does. A waiter comes up to you and asks you what you want, right? Like they wait on you, they dote on you. That's their job, is to provide you with what you want and everything. That's fine for like restaurants. That's fine for those types of industries. But when you are in the client services industry, when it comes, let's say, to app development or even widget development, like things like that, you need to be a doctor. And what does a doctor do? A doctor sits down and starts asking you questions like, all right, where's the pain today? What brought you in? What's this? What's that? Tell me about this. Do you do this? Things like that. Like the doctor starts asking you a series of questions to do what's called a differential diagnosis. And the idea is to try and narrow down your symptoms to your exact cause. And very often what happens when you go into a doctor, especially with certain pain and everything, like you think it's one thing, but when your doctor sits down and diagnoses you, your doctor says it's another thing. Doctor gives you something to take care of it, does something to take care of it, and you walk away feeling much better. And that's what you need to be in the client services industries. You need to sit down with there's a bug. It's like a little gnat just floating right there.
Easily distracted. Squirrel.
So what you need to be doing in the client services industry is that. So you need to be sitting there because your clients don't know what they want. Or let me rephrase that. Your clients don't know what they need. They know what they want. Like they want something, but very often what they want is not exactly what they need. What they want is very much a symptom of what they need. So if they feel like they want
My favorite expression of this is you go to, it's like going to the doctor and saying, "Doctor, I think I have pain here. So go ahead and grab the scalpel and do the open heart surgery." And it's like the doctor saying, "Okay, all right, here it is. By the way, I changed your heart for you, gave you a pacemaker and all that, but all you needed was something for heartburn. So here's this medication too."
Mhm. Yeah. Yep. And it's really just that medication that you really needed in the first place, but then you ended up, yep. And that's very often what happens within the client services industry is, especially within the app building world, because that's what I'm most intimately familiar with. A client comes to the app development company and says, I want this, I need this. And then the app developer goes and builds this thing for them, and they put it out on the market and it flops like crazy. It's terrible. I have a very good
If it ever gets to the market.
yeah, that's the other part of it. I have a couple of good stories with it, but one of them was when I was freelancing. One of my first clients was this guy who was trying to create an app that would help drive kids away from like the games to the educational stuff. Basically, it just helped give parents a little more control over how their kids used their mobile devices and things like that, or tablets. Great idea, wonderful idea. But the problem was, like, when I joined, I just gave him what he wanted. I didn't sit down and talk to him in depth and try and figure out what he needed. So I gave him what he wanted. We spent millions of dollars. Like, it was a lot of money. And put it out in the market, and it crashed and failed so bad. Like, it was bad. It did not do well at all. And so that drove home to me very, very much, like why it is important to sit down and actually talk to your client and figure out what they need. And that is that is what one of your first priorities, like that's what your main priority is in the client services industry is to sit down and determine what they need, not what they want, what they need. Again, like, so, and that's what you have to try and do with like your teams and such. Like when you sit down and you're trying to accomplish something, you need to figure out like what is it that you're trying to accomplish? Like what is the main goal of it? And very often like that main goal could be a like something amorphous. Like, hey, let's say the main goal for our team is to taking that a startup example is to get kids to learn more, to be better stewards of their digital time, to teach them how to be good stewards of their digital time. And that's an amorphous goal, but like that's the main priority. So starting with that, you can start create like you can create a lot of tasks and a lot of little priorities that fall under that one. And then the next step with that is it's kind of like what they did through the anecdote is they figured out, okay, this is what our main priority is. Next step is next thing that we got to do is figure out how we can accomplish that. And then once we figure out how we can accomplish that, what's the next goal? What's the next goal? What's the next goal? Things like that. That's what you like. That's how you go and you execute your plans, your procedures, your goals as a team leader, or even just as a person throughout the day.